Okay, well, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is on his way to that climate conference. But before he left, Trudeau spoke to reporters at the end of the G20 summit. He reflected on the days of negotiations on climate change, one of the biggest issues on the table. He said many countries, including Canada, were left wanting more action.
There's no question that Canada, along with a number of other countries, would have liked stronger language and stronger commitments on the fight against climate change than others. But we did make significant progress on recognizing 1.5 degrees as the ambition we need to share, on moving forward and identifying the phasing out of coal as an essential goal, on fighting and reducing methane emissions as being key, and also recognizing with the doubling of Canada's climate financing to the developing world. There's work to do, and we're going to continue that work over the coming days with like-minded partners at COP.
One of the key outcomes of any G20 summit is the final communiqué. The document is the result of days of laborious negotiations between countries over commitments and how they're worded. Those hoping for concrete action on issues such as climate change are now looking to the final communiqué for answers. But as Megan Williams reports from Rome, they may be disappointed.
Well, for anybody hoping for clear commitments and concrete actions, they're going to be disappointed by the final communiqué of the G20. The only clear date that is in the communiqué that is new is a promise by G20 countries to eliminate investment and loans in new coal production plants by the year 2021. Now, that commitment was already made in June in Cornwall by G7 countries. It has been expanded now to include all G20 countries. Of course, there are new coal plants being built in countries such as China right now. Those are going to go ahead. There's wording in the document that says investment in those operations will try to be limited as soon as possible, but there's no date as to when that can happen. It could happen as late as 2060, when China has pledged to reach net zero carbon emissions. Now, some of the leaders here were pushing very hard for a date of 2050 in G20 countries promising to hit that net zero carbon emissions. That isn't even in there. There's talk of mid-century, so that could mean as much as 10 years later, and that's too late to reach, to limit the 1.5 degrees Celsius rise in temperatures to limit future catastrophes related to the environment. The other disappointment is the wording around investment for developing nations. The 100 billion American dollars that was promised back in 2009. That developed countries, the world's richest countries and the world's polluters, would give to developing nations to help make them more resilient and better, more adaptable to the oncoming effects of climate change and those that have already come. And the G20 countries have not kept that promise. There's a reiteration of that promise and trying to up that amount. And as one observer said, they could have easily done it by each of them cutting a check and making the contribution. That didn't happen. It was just another promise. So as we head into the COP26 meeting today, this is a disappointing outcome from the world's wealthiest nations, and it doesn't bode well for the future. Megan Williams, CBC News, Rome.